Hello, everyone. It's Sonia McDonald here, and welcome to Leadership with Sonia, where I talk everything great and amazing and exceptional about leadership. And I also get to connect and talk with the most extraordinary humans and leaders around the world. And today I get to connect and have a wonderful conversation with the CEO of Impression Dental Group, Mark O'Brien, and he is also a finalist in the 2024 Outstanding Leadership Awards. So, Mark, welcome to Leadership with Sonia. How are you?
Thank you. I'm really great. Thank you. Thanks for inviting me and giving me the opportunity to chat to you. I've followed you for a long time, so I was quite excited to have this in my diary today to talk about all things leadership and dental and anything that we talk about further as well.
Thank you so much. And also I've been watching your journey, particularly as a finalist in the Leadership Awards. And we were just talking offline about the amazing people around him that support him, in particular Brett, who is I have been dealing with leading up to this live and this podcast, who is part of Impression Dental Group, and he has been incredible to work with around helping us actually record this great live and podcast today. And leadership, oh my gosh, it's such a big word. And
Huge.
It's huge. What does leadership mean to you?
Look, I guess it means lots of different things to lots of different people, and I think for me personally, it's not just what you do and what the behaviours and values that you distill in your kind of work life, because we've all got multiple lives, but it's what you do as an individual in your family, around community, and I really think as leaders have an obligation to give. I'm a firm believer, and I know it was a bit of a buzzword a few years ago in servant leadership, that leaders have an obligation to develop people, develop the world, to develop processes. So I think from my perspective, that's what keeps me grounded and motivated as a leader to constantly be serving. But I think it's also acting with integrity, doing things right, leading with authenticity, showing vulnerability, all those things that are really important to either get the best out of individuals or the best out of a business, or just to get the best out of yourself as well. I think it's really important that you have a vision of leadership and a version of leadership that you hold yourself to account to as well.
I love all those words that you mentioned around authenticity and vulnerability and integrity. And I was having a look at your website today, Impression Dental Group's website. I must say, what a gorgeous website.
Thank you.
Can you tell me a little bit about what you do? Like, what do you do? What does Impression Dental Group do? What are you
Yeah,
about?
so Impression Dental Group is a group of almost 30 practices, dental practices, all the way from Townsville in far north Queensland, all the way down to my hometown where I grew up in Geelong. And we're officially 3 years old. So the 8th of March, we had our third birthday. The business was
Happy
born out
birthday.
of. Thank you. I don't know what the significance of 3 is. But I can't say it's paper or wood or anything like that. But for us, it was 3 years of really hard work. The genesis of our business was born out of a failed dental group that fell into administration. So we bought a number of practices that were amazing individuals, amazing people, but had just not been looked after. So we took that on board as our original group of practices, and then grew through mergers and acquisitions over that journey. So, but fundamentally, we're a service organisation that provides facilities for our dentists to be able to operate their business in our business, and then provide the environment for them to flourish and give the best patient experience. And dentistry is one of those segments of healthcare that it doesn't necessarily get as much media or as much attention as maybe general practice or other allied healthcare verticals, but dentistry, we talk individually about the mouth being and teeth and smiling being a real beacon of confidence to people, and we talk a lot about the fact that we can influence that. We can influence how people smile and how they feel, and that's what kind of motivates us and our team to deliver the best dentistry and healthcare for our patients.
Yeah, it is. It's funnily enough, a bit of a funny story. My first boyfriend was a dentist.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, I wish I'd kept in touch with him, but because
I know some others if you need some dental work.
oh, thanks.
I'm not stressing you do.
No, but it's true though, right? Like I mean, I'm very particular about my teeth, and I remember my daughter when she was younger really struggled with her teeth, and obviously we've taken her to get a lot of dental work, and even today, seeing the difference in her confidence now that she can smile brightly, because it's smiling's so great for you. And so let me ask you this. Tell me a little bit more about you, Mark, in terms of what's Mark. I mean, even though and having a look at your bio and your background, extraordinary. Tell me what else makes Mark other than CEO of Impression Dental Group. What else do you love to do, and what gives you joy?
Lots of things, and I think I touched on it before that work as a definition is just part of our life, and sometimes again I talk personally into the team about work is an enabler of other parts of your life. But I've got a beautiful family. I've got 4 children, so they keep me really busy. I've got an amazing, supportive wife, and being a dad and being a CEO or anyone, don't have to be a CEO, but working parents, I've got the most amazing respect for because I'm a working parent. But spending quality time with my family is one of the things that really motivates me. In our family, we've got a real sense of giving back. So we talk lots, and it's my wife's voice in my ear, talking about gratitude attitudes. We make sure that we reflect every day on the things that were great and maybe weren't so great, and what we learnt out of that. And that's where I think you see a lot of crossover between work and life, because you bring those sorts of conversations into your teams, and all of a sudden you are crossing that work and home life, and start to appreciate that people don't just work for you, but they've also got a life outside of work as well. So we do lots of things. I'm a mad Geelong Cats footy fan. I know you're in Brisbane, Sonia, and I don't know if you follow AFL, but I was pretty pleased that we beat the Brisbane Lions last weekend. So the cats are a big passion of mine, as well as just getting outdoors, and I guess that's one of the challenges of being not just a leader or a CEO or an executive or anyone in the workforce, is just finding balance in spending time with yourself and staying active, and being able to switch off from work. All those things are really challenging for modern executives, I think.
Yeah, they are really challenging, and I think that's kind of like, I don't know, there's no kind of silver bullet with that in terms of how you balance that, but I think it's really important that you do balance it, and you do know what's important in your life, and have that balance. And I mean, thinking about your life, Mark, and where you are today, is there what's been some of your greatest learnings, or even people that have made a difference in your life?
It's a great question. The obvious answer is my folks. They worked really hard to provide for myself and my sister, and I think that sense of hard work was instilled in us as children quite early. So I've really carried that through my career, and that really drives me to be a better parent as well, to be that provider. And I know that's that's an intrinsic motivation of mine, and it's probably not for everybody, but it is what drives me and keeps me grounded. I've been really lucky, I guess, in my career journey that I've had some really excellent and some not so excellent leaders that I've worked with, and I'm sure we'll tackle that later. But the ones that really stick with me are the ones that believed in me as an individual and really coached, developed me, not just in my technical competencies, but in as an individual. Were not afraid to have difficult conversations if they needed to. Occasionally I've, needed a kick up the pants in my career, and I've always valued that rather than, being surprised one day that, somebody's not happy with something I did 6 months ago. I've been lucky to work in some large global organisations that really have a learning and development culture. And so where people have invested in me to learn and develop, they're probably some of the most valuable roles that I've had. The other ones, that have been really valuable is ones where I've been stretched in a role, and I think I was talking to Brett earlier. One of my early career roles was in a pet retail chain, which at the time was 10 retail stores. It's now close to 300 across Australia and New Zealand.
Wow.
But that business rapidly grew, and I think in those 6 years that I worked in that business, I probably learnt and saw and did a lot of things that a lot of people don't do in their whole career. And that was because the one of the founders and the person that I reported to gave me that freedom to do my job, to stretch myself, and he stretched me uncomfortably at some times, but I think that's where I got some of the rich learning experiences, and in that experience there was no fear of failure, because I knew he was there as a bit of a safety blanket, and he wasn't going to set me up to fail. So I'm still very good friends and remain in contact to this day for that experience.
And it sounds like obviously his leadership contributed to the growth of that business as well. Did you ever envisage yourself here? Like, did you ever think when you were little? What did you when you were little, or when you were at school? Did you ever go, "Oh, this is what I want to be when I grow up"? And therefore, is this where you thought you'd be when you grew up?
It's not, actually. I was from the age of 5 or 6. I wanted to be a veterinarian. So I up until even first, second, third year uni, I still wanted to be a vet, and never got the marks to crack into it. And so I did what everyone does when they're 20, and I went overseas and travelled all of Europe, and I met some really great people on that trip. One of which was a sales rep, and she was telling me that she gets a car and gets to stay in hotels, and they do conferences, and I think get paid $45,000. And I was like, that sounds amazing. So I finished my Euro trip, and in fact, I applied for a job before I got back to Australia, and that was in the veterinary industry as a sales rep, and I loved it. Like, I really got, it wasn't just the process of selling, but it was the process of communicating, engaging with customers, fixing problems. And the business I joined was pretty broken at the time. So I learnt resilience pretty quickly as well, and rejection, and all those things that you need to feel when you're developing yourself and developing your career. So yeah, that was really fun, and that was probably the gateway into then learning business. I went to business school, and found a real niche in mergers and acquisitions and aggregations. And I think what I love about it, and I truly do love what I do, is that ability to build something, to build a business, but you're not building a business through infrastructure and assets. It's through people, because you can have the best buildings, the best tools, but if you haven't got the people, to deliver that, then it's just an asset. So yeah, it's been pretty great working in aggregating businesses, and this is the fourth one that I've been involved in now. And it doesn't really matter whether it's dentistry or veterinary or allied healthcare or even childcare, which I've been involved in as well. It's the common thread and the common denominator is people, and you're delivering services through people, and that's what gets me motivated and keeps me interested in doing what I'm doing.
What a great journey that you've had. And I mean, I'm a great believer as well in our journeys. And it's amazing how things happen, right? Like you just have to, you go traveling and then you kind of like, okay, what do I open myself up to? And you open yourself up to, that opportunity. And obviously you got excited about the car and the conferences and in saying that though, like also as part of growing, there's lots of ways we can grow. And as a leader, it's really important to keep growing. I've got two questions. In terms of your leadership, what's been your greatest stuff up / learning and your greatest success / achievement?
Gosh, there's so many stuff ups, and that's a good thing because they're the learning environments. As long as you're not doing the same stuff up multiple times. What is it? I think it's probably related to people and bringing the wrong people into the tent. There was one a few years ago that. And I won't say what industry, but I brought that person into the business. I did everything wrong, everything that you shouldn't do, I did. So I didn't listen to my gut. I ignored red flags. I was under time pressure, but I had a person in front of me that was willing to start and commence, and so I brought them in, and it pretty quickly unravelled. Luckily, there wasn't too much residual damage, but it probably put me back 12 months in terms of what I wanted to achieve with that business unit that I'd brought in. So that was, that was annoying. But again, you reflect on that, and you wouldn't do it again. And you listen to those voices, or sometimes it's a very non-technical thing, but we call it the tummy feels in our organisation. If you feel them, then listen to them. So that's probably the biggest stuff up. And again, on reflection, it's not so bad. The best thing. Oh, gosh, there's so many. I think the current role where we have brought a business that fell into administration out of that and really made it flourish has been one of the most rewarding parts of my career, because everything in that business was broken. The trust was broken, the assets were broken, like everything was broken. So it required a lot of heavy lifting to build that trust, a lot of investment into some of the basics. But at the end of the day, it was really just being visible, being heard, and being able to enact that change with some urgency and with some pace as well. There's one other thing, which was part of my journey with Pet Barn, the retailer. We really disrupted the way people adopted pets, and one of my roles was about bringing adjacent services into that network. So at the time, we engaged with the RSPCA. It was up here actually. So the RSPCA New South Wales CEO, Steve Coleman, who's still there today, is a wonderful person. Really took an open mind to getting pets introduced to people. So we opened up pet adoption centres in our pet retail stores, and that was in the context of the RSPCA at the time and Animal Welfare League organisations having active policies not to support pet stores. So that was quite amazing, and I think by the time I left, we'd rehomed tens of thousands of pets. And the consumer or the shopper that came in had the exact same experience in a Pet Barn store that they would have at an RSPCA shelter.
Wow.
So that was pretty cool.
That is amazing. So a couple of things there. I totally get the stuff up. I did that a couple of years ago myself. Brought somebody on, and it was probably one of the worst mistakes I've ever had in the last 17 years that I've had my company. Again, that tummy feeling, like I thought something didn't feel right, but
Yeah.
he said all the right things, and then it turned so. And I talk about having the right people on the bus, and yeah, so I totally get that. Like, it's so important to have those people that are aligned. And as soon as I started to see waivers in the values misalignment, I should have just cut it off.
Yeah.
Second thing, Pet Barn is my pet store. Can you please stop putting pets in there, because I want to adopt them all. Like, every time I go to Pet Barn, I'm like, I just want to adopt every pet that's at Pet Barn. It's just like, it's amazing.
I don't have any influence anymore, but it's really quite rewarding, and I love taking my kids into a Pet Barn store because I can say to them, and they don't really care, but they like, oh, Dad created that, or that piece of signage when I was in marketing that still lives,
wow.
and it reminds me of my dad. He was a builder before he retired, and he used to drive us around as kids and show us all the things that he had recently built. So I think you really do turn into your parents as you get older, but I reflect on that now, and he was obviously really proud of what he did in his career, and he wanted to share that with his family. I feel like I'm starting to do the same thing.
Yeah, I think, I think it's so important that we do show our kids, and I would love to know, like, I'd love to know what advice you'd give your children about leadership. But before we ask that question, I know you talked about one of your great successes also being about how you were able to turn Impression Dental Group around. What do you think contributed to that? You've had now, it's been 3 years, 30 groups now, 30 practices now. So,
almost.
What do you think's turned it around? Like, when you said it was broken and look at it today, what do you think contributed to that transformation?
Like I said before, I think I don't think I know. It was just a lot of hard work. So there was lots and lots of engagement with the key stakeholders. So, that was with the practitioners, the support staff, the industry, our suppliers, because, some suppliers hadn't been paid for forever. So, all of a sudden we were asking them to, believe in our journey, and I had to convince them that we were the good guys and shouldn't be punished for the sins of the past. But ultimately, I couldn't do that by myself. So I very rapidly built not a big team. It was a small, agile, nimble team that also equally worked really hard and had shared the same values as me, and shared the same values of the organisation. And again, we created those very quickly. Who are we? What do we want to be? What are the rules of engagement that we have with ourselves, with our teams? If you ring me, we guarantee that we'll get your response within 24 hours. If it's related to pay, it's going to be within 2 hours. So we made sure that we held ourselves to account in terms of some of those key things and some of the key pressure points. But there, in those early days, we were subscale, couldn't and didn't want to really invest in a big fat head office that decision was made by committee. We wanted to be nimble, act fast, and did all those things. And then all of a sudden, the trust builds up. You start investing in the people. We did conferences, we did learning events. Again, delivered everything that they were promised, and it all came together. So there's been phenomenal growth in those practices, and that then provided the platform for us to feel confident to bolt on additional acquisitions. And yeah, it's been pretty rapid. So it was a good 12 to 13 months of just rebuilding that network. And there was a couple of little COVID bumps in there. I mean, most of the COVID issue was done, but I remember, we were building a brand new practice or relocating a practice in Canberra, and the day it was meant to open, there was a COVID outbreak in Canberra. So we literally had a day's worth of work to go before opening this new practice, and then had to shut it for 12 weeks, unfortunately, because of restrictions. So anyway, that was we've all lived through that, and if that was the worst that we had to deal with, then we got out of it pretty okay.
Yeah, it sounds like you did. And so love the fact that, you feel like, like as your dad did, taking you around to all the building sites and you taking your kids around to show them what you do. If you could give any advice to your four amazing, gorgeous children, what would you say to them? Like, what sort of advice would you say to them about leadership in life? What would you say to them?
I think, number one, I hope they grow up with a sense of not with a sense of entitlement, but one that, if you work really hard and have a goal and have an aim, then you're well positioned to be able to do that. I think having that gratitude attitude, again, I sound like my wife, but we use that a lot in our household. And just being grateful about the opportunities that they're given and afforded, and taking those opportunities. I give them advice to be brave and be bold and try things, and it's okay to fail. And I'm very open with them about failures that I've had in life, failures in my career, and I think it's important that they see that. But then I think also, I want my kids to be kids as well, and not, living by a set of rules, regimented rules. And again, no judgment of any other parenting styles, but I really want them to, have fun and really enjoy what they're doing in their life as well. And, being a kid, again, I think most adults would love to go back to being a kid every now and again. And in fact, I think we do sometimes, but I
think we need to.
We need to, that's right. But I think, just making sure that they enjoy the journey of life, because it's, it can be a roller coaster.
Yeah, it can be. And my daughter's now 22. And anytime she says, "Oh, Mum, do you want to come to this band with me? Or do you want to?" And I'll go, "Yeah." And it's kind of like, I feel like I'm reliving my 20s through her now.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, I'm like, yeah, invite me to any of these kind of, obviously nothing that's a bit, but it's and I'm the same. Like, it's just like, live your life. Like, just, believe in yourself, live your life. Just be the best person you can be. It's goes very quickly.
Yes,
So,
it does. And have a go, and not believe that the pathway to happiness and success is being an influencer. Again, no disrespect to anyone who's a very successful influencer, but I think it's a real danger for kids these days, is getting wrapped up in that world of Instagram and TikTok. And again, I feel like I'm old saying this, but there's a real danger in losing a generation to being able to communicate effectively and go out and run around an oval and kick a ball. And I didn't have those things when I was a kid. But I'm sure I spent my disproportionate amount playing games on computers. But it's different when you're a parent.
Yeah, it definitely is. It definitely is. So it's so wonderful to hear about you and your success, and also your stuff ups, like we all have. And also, we will see you in a few weeks at the Outstanding Leadership Awards. How are you feeling about being a finalist in this platform that is all about showcasing and celebrating great role models and leadership?
Yeah, obviously really humbled to be a finalist, and I look at the panel of other people that are also finalists, and like every single person is amazing at what they've done or what they do. So I'm really grateful. Again, gratitude attitude to have been recognised by my peers and by you and your organisation. So again, it's one of those moments that occasionally you need to stop and smell the roses and pinch yourself and think, well, actually, I'm doing a pretty good job, because I'm getting some recognition, not just internally or through your family, but also that external recognition as well. And, not that we need external validation, but it is nice to know that there's that, that recognition that you're doing some good things.
Yeah.
And that's exciting for our business. It's exciting for me personally, but then, I know the team gets excited by it, because it's not just me, it's Impression Dental Group. And Impression Dental Group wouldn't exist, or I wouldn't exist without them. So, they see that as that, it's a real team effort, not just me representing myself.
I loved it. I love hearing that, and it is. I know it's always interesting with leadership, any kind of awards, and sometimes I do get the, oh, but I'm humble and all this. I'm like, yeah, it doesn't mean that. I mean, humility, you can still celebrate. I think
Yeah,
it's,
you still want to win.
yeah, absolutely. Like it's like if we were in the States, everyone in the States would be like, yeah, you go for it. Like, like it's like, I don't know, Australians are a little bit more. I'm like, well, the thing is, we've only got one life. Our life should be about our legacy, like how we're leaving a legacy. But also, I do think our generations today, our future generations need to see greater role models. They need to see mum and dad or anyone up there on stage going, wow, wow, okay, look what they've done. I wonder what, maybe it might give them a sense of hope or a sense of courage to go out there and do that themselves. So thank you for showing that leadership and courage. And also it's just it's amazing to listen and hear and connect with you all about leadership. And I could talk to you for so much longer,
like
but I know
we've scratched the surface. Like we could speak for days, but I've enjoyed the chat as well. Thanks, Sonia.
Oh my, anytime. And is there anything you'd love to say, like on a final note? Obviously, if you want to contact Mark, please make sure you contact him. He's on LinkedIn. Contact the Impression Dental Group. Is there anything you'd like to say to all the watchers and listeners today?
I think the biggest thing, and I talk to my team a lot about just being really authentic, and that would be my biggest takeaway. Be you, be real, show vulnerability. I think there's a bridge between courageous and kind leadership, and I look at people like Jacinda Ardern, who was often criticised for her kindness, but also clearly made courageous decisions as well. And I think that's really important for this next generation of leaders that are coming through, because the way people are managed or expect to be managed is very different to how it used to be. So have a contemporary view of how to lead. Listen to your people, show vulnerability, but also be really clear about expectations and accountabilities for everybody as well. But most important, share a vision, live to that vision, live to your core values. And that's 90% of the battle, I think, sometimes.
It is. I think that at the end of the day, if you always stay true to who you are and your values, it has to be a compass. So thank you for those incredible words of wisdom. And it was such an honor to speak to you today. I look forward to seeing you in a few weeks. And if anyone would love to join our lives or our podcast to know more about the Leadership Awards or Leadership HQ, please reach out to me or my team. If you'd love to learn more about our work and lives and podcasts all around leadership, we would love to connect with you and show how we could make a difference to you, but also this really, really important conversation about great leadership, because the more we're talking about it and the more role models we have like Mark, it'll inspire. It's the ripple effect. We need to have more great leaders around the world. That's one thing I know for certain that we talk about is, yes, we do need more great leaders and humans. And by having these conversations and having role models like yourself, Mark, that's what we're doing. So thank you so much for being on today's show.
It's a pleasure. Thanks, Sonia. Look forward to seeing you soon.
Thank you so much. And you take care.
You too.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.